What would you do if everything you built was swept away, only to face an even greater storm before you could rebuild? This is the story of Sam, a farmer whose land was destroyed by floods, forcing him and his loyal friend Lee to spend 500 million dong to bring the farm back to life. Just as hope began to bloom again, news of the super typhoon Matmo threatened to undo it all. Will they endure or fall? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and join us as we uncover this powerful journey of resilience and friendship.
The storm had passed, but its mark was carved deep into the land. Sam stood at the edge of his property, staring at what used to be his proud farm. Where once sturdy wooden fences lined the fields, only broken planks now lay scattered, carried by the merciless floodwaters. The barns that had sheltered animals for years had collapsed in on themselves, their rooftops torn away, walls sagging like wounded creatures. The fields, once vibrant with green shoots, were nothing but a swampy stretch of mud and waterlogged soil. It felt as though nature had stripped away every ounce of his hard work in one violent sweep. Yet, amid the ruin, Sam's eyes did not dim. Instead, there was a quiet fire burning, a refusal to surrender to despair. The rebuilding began the very next day. It was not a task Sam could manage alone, and perhaps that was the silver lining in the tragedy, the way people came together. His friend Lee was the first to show up, sleeves rolled up, hands blistered but determined. Neighbors soon followed, bringing whatever tools or materials they could spare. Together, they pulled up the fallen fences, salvaged planks, and propped up walls that could still stand. Each nail hammered, each beam lifted was not just the physical act of repair, but a declaration of resilience. For Sam, the farm had always been more than soil and structures. It was his life's purpose, the place where he had poured every ounce of strength, every hope for the future. To see it destroyed was like losing a part of himself. But to give up on it would mean abandoning the very dream that defined him. And so, with mud on his boots and sweat running down his brow, Sam worked tirelessly from dawn until dusk. He knew that every small victory, raising a post, securing a roof beam, clearing a patch of land, was a step toward reclaiming not just his livelihood, but his sense of belonging in this world. As the sun dipped low on those long, exhausting days, Sam and Lee would often pause to catch their breath, leaning against half-rebuilt fences, their faces streaked with dirt and weariness. In the silence of the evening, broken only by the calls of birds returning to the fields, Sam felt a strange calm. The destruction was immense, but so was the determination rising from its ashes. His farm was scarred, yes, but not defeated, and neither was he. But rebuilding a dream was never cheap, and Sam soon realized the price of hope came with a staggering weight. Every beam of wood, every stack of bricks, every bag of cement carried a cost that piled higher than the ruined fences. By the time he tallied the expenses, the figure stood at 500 million dong, an amount that would crush most farmers like him. The number was almost surreal, like a storm that lingered long after the skies had cleared. Sam felt its weight pressing against his chest each time he handed over another bundle of bills, his savings draining away like the floodwaters that had stolen his harvest. Yet he did not waver. To Sam, the farm was not merely a business, it was the story of his life. He had built it with his bare hands, day after day, year after year, until it became a reflection of who he was: steadfast, resilient, deeply rooted in the land. Letting it go would be like tearing away his identity. And so, despite the staggering cost, he pressed on. The sound of hammers striking nails, the rhythmic scrape of shovels against earth became the music of his determination. Lee never left his side. When Sam's strength faltered, Lee's steady hands carried the weight. When Sam's spirit dimmed, Lee's laughter brought light back into the weary evenings. They shared more than just labor. They shared silent promises to stand together no matter how relentless the challenges. Every time Sam glanced at his friend, kneeling in the dirt, tightening bolts, or coaxing a frightened animal back into safety, he was reminded that the farm's true foundation was not wood or stone, but the bond of loyalty and friendship. Still, there were nights when Sam sat on the farmhouse steps, staring out at the half-mended barns and the fragile fences, and wondered how much longer he could endure. The farm looked alive again, yet he knew it was fragile, like a patient recovering from a grave illness. The debt was heavy, the work endless, and the scars of the flood still etched across the land. But every morning, when the first rays of sunlight spread over the damp fields, Sam found new strength. He would rise, brush the dirt from his hands, and remind himself that no storm, not even the one that had cost him 500 million dong, could take away his will to fight for the soil he called home.
Just as the farm began to breathe again, when the scent of fresh wood and tilled soil started to replace the memory of rot and ruin, a new shadow crept across the horizon. The radio crackled with warnings. A super typhoon named Matmo was sweeping across the sea, gaining strength with every passing hour. Its path was uncertain, but the predictions all pointed toward their region. The words fell on Sam like cold iron. He had not even finished mending the last fence, and yet another storm was already on its way. Sam and Lee stood in the middle of the fields one evening, watching the clouds gather, their colors darkening in strange, ominous shades. The crops they had just sown were still fragile, thin green shoots trembling in the faintest breeze. The barns, though rebuilt, were not yet strong enough to face another violent strike. And the thought of Matmo arriving with winds fiercer than the floodwaters they had just endured sent an ache through Sam's heart. Would all their effort vanish once again, swept away before it could take root? The village too grew restless. People rushed to tie down rooftops, secure windows, and herd animals into safer grounds. Sam and Lee worked tirelessly, strengthening every post they could, hammering planks until their arms ached, trying to shield the weakest corners of the farm from the coming wrath. Every sound of wood against metal echoed like a prayer against the storm. In their exhaustion, they exchanged few words, yet both carried the same unspoken question. Could they truly withstand what was coming? Night descended heavy, and with it came the first hints of Matmo's arrival. The distant roar of the sea, the whistle of winds threading through the hills, the uneasy silence of birds gone to brown. Sam sat with Lee on the farmhouse steps once more, their lantern flickering in the restless air. He could feel fear gnawing at the edges of his resolve, but beside him, Lee's steady presence reminded him of the strength they had drawn from each other through every hardship. "Even if the storm takes everything," Sam whispered, more to himself than to his friend, "we'll build it again." Lee placed a firm hand on his shoulder, answering not with words, but with the quiet certainty of his touch. The typhoon was coming, and with it, a test fiercer than any before. But Sam knew this much: as long as they faced it together, neither he nor his farm would stand alone.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Mí Cử Sam. Vậy là trong tập phim ngày hôm nay của chúng ta thì nông trại của Lý Tử Sam vừa mới tái thiết xong, vừa được sửa chữa sau lũ lụt và mưa bão, thì bây giờ lại chuẩn bị phải đối mặt với một cơn siêu bão mới có tên là Mắt Mờ. Cơn siêu bão này đang tiến thẳng về khu vực phía bắc Việt Nam, và tâm bão trại của Lý Tử Sam và cảnh sát Ni. Điều đó khiến cho cảnh sát Ni và Lý Tử Sam cảm thấy rất là lo lắng, vì mọi tài chính cả hai đã dồn vào để sửa chữa trang trại sau trận lũ lụt. Bây giờ nếu mà bị siêu bão đổ bộ nữa thì có khả năng là nông trại của Sam sẽ không còn. Mọi tình tiết hấp dẫn sẽ được hé lộ vào các câu chuyện tiếp theo. Mọi người bấm vào nút đăng ký kênh để nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các tập phim sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh Lý Tử Sam Review nha. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại. Bye bye.